Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to be talking to you about pre-made fans. Now, to be honest, I've kind of held off on putting this video live because I know there is so much debate over pre-mades and I see so many technicians getting backlash on it. And to be honest, when pre-mades first came out, I was seriously against them. I've done posts on them in the past that you may have seen, and I've also done videos on them where I've spoken about them. However, things change within the industry and we have to evolve forward. So first of all, before I show you how we go about using pre-mades, I've really got to talk to you about the boring stuff. So guys, please stick with me while I talk to you because I think I need to explain things about the industry. Now, first of all, a pre-made fan is one that is already pre-bonded. It's not made by the technician. It's a pre-bonded fan. You don't need to take a volume class really to know how to attach it. And it's a quick way of doing volume. Now, most technicians are not against pre-made fans. I was never against pre-made fans, but what I was against, as well as other technicians, and we all discussed this, was the fact that people were lying and saying that they were offering volume and using pre-mades. Now, of course, pre-mades are a form of volume. They're a volume lash. But what was happening was people were applying pre-mades to customers and pretending that it was like handmade volume and charging the same price. And that's what got people's backs up, because there's us guys that are going out there investing a lot of money into our volume classes, and we're, working really hard to perfect it, and it's taken us sort of 2 or 3 hours to do a set of volume, and we're charging X amount. And then you've got somebody down the road from you, another salon, that haven't done a volume class, haven't done all of that practice, saying that they offer volume as well, sticking pre-mades on, having it done in an hour and charging the same. And that's what the problem was. It's not that they're using pre-mades. It's a bit like having two shops that sell Rolexes, the good Rolex watch. One of them is a authentic Rolex and you're paying, a lot of money for it, and then another shop is selling fake Rolexes but charging exactly the same and pretending it's a real one. Now, can you see why this was getting people's backs up? It's that and not the fact that they are pre-mades. A lot of us don't have issue with pre-mades because we know there's a place in the industry for them, and that's what I need to talk about. The other issue that we had is that when you go on a volume course, you learn how to calculate how much volume clients can support. We're not just sticking anything on. Like classic lashes, you just can't put anything that's on any client. You've got to know what that client can support so that we don't cause damage. And you learn that on a volume course. So when you've got classic trained technicians that just go and buy volume lashes and haven't learned all of this, how to calculate using the volumetric lash calculator, which we go through on courses that we take, people don't know this stuff, so they're just buying, pre-made fans and then just putting them on a client without assessing the suitability, and then they're causing damage. So again, this has given our industry a bad name in certain areas, and there's so many of us fighting to show people that lashes don't cause damage if they're applied properly. And then we've got these technicians just going out there buying pre-made fans, charging the same as us, whacking a load of volume on and causing damage. So can you see how things have got a little bit muddled along the way and why there is such a bad reputation still about pre-mades? So I hope that by doing this it's going to show you why. Now, why did I decide to sell pre-mades? It's because there is a place in the industry for them. If you've got somebody that's new to volume and they're struggling with their timings, which we all do, it can be great to use these before you get your speed up. If you've got a client that can't lay still for 2 to 3 hours, some clients can't, they've got back problems, maybe they haven't got that time. You can lash a lot quicker with them. So again, they do have their place in the industry, but we must make sure that we're using them correctly and that we're letting our clients know that they are pre-mades. They also do say that you don't get as great a retention with them because they cannot wrap onto the natural lash. I always believe this, but funnily enough, when we use the pre-mades, actually the retention was pretty good as well. So I'm kind of backtracking on that, and I'm still learning on this, guys, and doing my research. I don't know everything, I don't profess to, but we got really, really good retention out of it. Now, going back to the reason why I decided to sell pre-mades, it's because there is a place for them in the industry, and as a supplier, I have to provide the industry with what they want. So I and ahed over this for about 12 months. I spoke to my colleagues about it. We kind of nearly did launch them, but we decided not to. We kind of held off on the industry because we just knew there was going to be so much backlash. But I was seeing so many bad pre-made fans, bad product. that I went out there and I did my research and found really, really good quality ones. Now ours are pre-glued, a lot of them are heat bonded, but we actually found the heat bonded ones weren't nice. The pre-glued ones that we've got have got a lovely pointy base on them and they attach nicely to the natural lash. And like I said, I would rather sell a good quality product to the industry and educate people about how to use it than them go off and buy them anywhere from maybe a poor supply where they're not good quality and not know how to use them. And actually I was a little bit offended by a comment that was made on one of my posts that I was just doing it for money. And that was really disappointing to hear that, because firstly, I would never do that. You know, it's why all of my products are reasonably priced, because as a working lash technician myself, like you guys, I know what it's like, you know, to spend your money on products. So, you know, it's never about money for me, and that's why I do so much of this stuff for free, because I want to help you guys. Because when I came into the industry, there wasn't this information out there, and I struggled so much. I nearly gave up so many times because there just wasn't people willing to help. So I don't ever want you guys to feel like that, and I know that these videos help you guys, which is why I keep doing them. So for somebody to say that was actually quite offensive and actually naive, because if you think I can make my money out of pre-made and live on what I earn out of pre-made, you've got another thing coming. It's not that. I want to provide to our industry something that there is a place for, but I will educate you how to use them safely. Now, am I using pre-mades? No, I don't need to. I've taken X amount of volume courses. I've perfected my craft through hours and hours and hours. I don't need to, but I know there's people out there that want to use them and need to use them, and that's why we're selling them. In these photos, these are a couple of sets that I've done using our pre-made fans. We did these for promotional. I didn't charge any of the clients for this. It was all done for free, just so I could get some pictures so that I could start playing with them before we went live with them. So for me, I don't use pre-made, but it's just showing you here that this is my work where I have lash with pre-mades. As I said, we do sell these on the shop, and you can see here where you can get them from. It's eyelashexcellence.com. Pre-made fans. We have them in 0.07 only because the 0.05s were not nice at all. So we're sticking with the 0.07s whilst we're currently working on the 0.05s, and we have them in C and D curls. Now they come in individual length trays only, because if we did them as mixed trays, you don't get enough in a tray to do a full set. We did work with our manufacturers, but they cannot overlap them, so they have to come like this. Trust me, we try. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people, I think, are charging the same for pre-mades, because actually they do work out very expensive for you over the cost of actually making your fans yourself. However, they are a speedier treatment. So they do have their pros and cons to that. But guys, if you want to buy them, like with all of my products, you can have absolute faith in the quality of our products. I wouldn't sell anything that's rubbish. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, as in being a working lash technician who's bought rubbish products that don't work. So I hope by now you know that I try and test all of these products along with my team, and only if we're happy with them do we bring them to the shop, because if they're rubbish, we are not going to sell them. And guys, I'm not going to ruin my reputation that I've spent so long building, to hope that you understand that we are about quality here. Now what I've done here is I've attached a screenshot from the description on the website, because I spent a lot of hours sitting down and writing out a detailed description as to how we can safely use pre-mades, because I knew that a lot of people would sort of give us some backlash or things like that. So what I'm just going to quickly go over again is the boring stuff, guys, but you know, you've always got to make sure that the pre-made fan suits the natural lash that you're applying it to. And that's one of the reasons why handmade is so better, because you make the fan to suit the lash. You don't just grab anything and stick it on the lash that you've got there. Now, as we know, we've got 3 stages of lash growth: anagen, catagen, telogen. Your anagens are your baby lashes. They're the little short, delicate ones that are going to sit in amongst your set. They can only support very short and lightweight volume, let's say 2D only in short lengths. Your catagens are your transition stage. They're like your medium to getting strong lashes. And then your telogens are your resting stage. They're the strongest in this phase. Now, like I said, you've got to make sure that the lash that you are applying the fan to can support it. So this is why it's quite difficult at times to do pre-mades, because you're kind of picking up a pre-made and it might be a 3D, 4D, 5D. You've got to make sure that it can be held on that lash depending on what phase it's in. So for those of you that aren't volume trained, I've just done a very quick guide to assist you. So if you're classic trained, you should by now know what your client's lashes can support, and then we can use this to figure out how much volume, so what pre-mades you can attach to their natural lashes. Now if you've got a client who can support a 0.2, and there's very, very few out there. We've actually started to take this out of our manuals now because there are so few, and we're actually using like a 0.15 as our maximum thickness. But guys, if you've got a client with super thick, healthy natural lashes who could wear a 0.2 classic lash, and I said that's rare, she could support a maximum of 6 0.07s, so 6 of these pre-mades together in a fan on her strongest natural lash in her set. If you've got a client that can support a 0.15 classic lash, if you're using these pre-mades in 0.07, she could support a maximum of 4. If you've got pre-mades in 0.06s, she could support a maximum of 7. And pre-mades in 0.05, she could support a maximum of 9. If you've got a client who could only support a 0.12, then 0.07 pre-made, she could support a 3D only. If you've got pre-mades that are 0.06s, she could support 4 only. And if you've got pre-mades that are 0.05 thickness, she could support 6 maximum on healthy natural lashes. And if you've got a client with very fine natural lashes who could only support a 0.1, I've got quite a lot of clients like that, it would be a maximum of 2 0.07s, 3 0.06s, or 4 0.05s. So guys, this is so important. You can't just dump any thickness of pre-made on or any volume of pre-made on. It's got to be assessed to that natural lash. So guys, you do need like a variety of them to make sure that you're not overloading. And like I've said here at the bottom, please ensure that you always work the variety of dimensions within your sets to keep the natural lashes healthy and your set safe. Never just use the same dimension of fan throughout your whole set. So the other day I went somewhere and there was a girl that was wearing pre-made, and as she looked down I could see that she had 6D in about 14 millimeters on every single one of her natural lashes. Inners, very, very inners, and very, very outers, which are delicate, and you could just see they were so overloaded. They were drooping. You could see gaps in her lash line where she'd lost some, and her natural lashes were so fragile. I was just screaming out to say, oh my God, you know, there's so much weight and so much damage on there, but I don't do that sort of thing. That's not my place to say. And unfortunately, it's because the technician that lashed her either is uneducated or will just give the client what they want to keep them happy. But guys, we're not about that. We're about lashing our clients safely and educating to ensure that they understand why we do what we do, and we don't just dump on as many to meet their expectations, because we've got to look after those lashes, because as we know, if we don't, they will shed out, they won't grow back, and then what have we got to stick them to? So we have to offer this education. Not only my responsibility as a trainer to people out there, but also your responsibility as a technician to educate your clients. Now guys, the boring bit is almost over. Thank you so much for listening to that. One last thing that I do want to add is I was thinking to actually stop people being able to comment on this video, because I am so anticipating not particularly nice comments based on this. I've sort of thought about this. Do you know what? I'm going to leave the comments open. If you have a comment to make, please try and make it a positive one. Sadly, I see so much bitching in the industry. I look at forums and I look at catty comments and things like that. Guys, not everyone's going to like me. I don't like everyone out there. Not everyone's going to like me. But I do these videos to educate, and these are my opinions. If you don't agree with my opinions, that's absolutely fine. And if you do want to challenge me on my opinions, I'll always welcome that. But please don't post snidey, disrespectful comments, because that's not nice, okay? I'm doing this to educate you, to explain why we're selling them and to help you. That's why I do it, to help. So when I get comments like that, it really is unwelcome, and actually it doesn't look good on you guys when you're doing it. I'm going to leave the comments open. If you have an issue with me, feel free to private message me. Don't post it all over, you know, things. And I've never met a lot of you guys out there, so when actually you personally attack me, I'm like, I've never met you. I'm just trying to give you some information. So sorry to sound a bit whingy, guys, but you know, a lot of the time I ignore some of the less positive comments. But I know, or I'm anticipating, that there are going to be some strange comments on here. I will either get to a point that if that happens, and please actually I would ask that don't post if you've got nothing nice to say. But if you do post on there, I will be removing any disrespectful comments, and I will personally actually get to a point that if it's that bad, I will take the comments off this, because this video is not to get into a debate about this, it's to help you, okay? It's to try and help those people understand how we can safely use pre-made, but make sure that our customers are aware that they're pre-made and that we don't charge full-on volume prices. Guys, it's up to you what you charge. I can't tell you what to charge. And if you do charge full price and you've got customers that pay it, then good on you. But I'm just showing you that how you can start to upset others in the industry if you're trying to profess that they are real volume when you know they're not, or if you're dumping a load on and causing damage, okay? Guys, I'm really sorry I've waffled, but I've had to talk about all of this to get my point across, to actually try and make you guys understand and prevent those negative comments that I'm anticipating are going to happen. Sorry to go on about it again. I'm going to finish it off now. If you do have any questions, post them below. I am busy, so we don't always get to reply, but I hope this has helped. Now we're going to show you how to use pre-mades. It was a video that I did for my online private mentoring group, but I think it's good to post on here so that you guys can see how we've used pre-mades and how actually nice they can look if they are used correctly. I hope you enjoy this one. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. But what I'm going to show you is how to work with them on a real client, and we've got Sophie here, my glamorous model, who we use in a lot of videos because she's stunning and just lays there like a trooper. And we're going to be doing 3 and 4D in the C-Curl 0.07 on Sophie. Now, although these lashes are 0.07 and they come from our manufacturer 0.07, I believe them to be more like a 0.05, 0.06, and if you don't believe me, compare them against your 0.07s. But because they come from the manufacturer at that thickness, I have to sell them at that. But you can just feel it. They're really lovely and lightweight. So on Sophie's lashes, Sophie can actually wear a 0.15 classic on her strong natural lashes. So on her strong lashes, we're going to be using 4D, and on her thinner ones, we're going to be using 3D and a 2D on some of her Anagen lashes. Now, Sophie does like a little bit of glamour. I don't normally lash up to a 13 on most clients, but Sophie does like it. So it's very unusual, like I said, but as Sophie's coming to model today, it's only fair that we give her a glamorous set. Really, like we've said before, Russian volume technically is kept very short, with 10mm being the maximum. But, you know, at the end of the day, you have to cater for what your clients want. So I am going to start lashing Sophie now and talk to you how we go about using our pre-made volume fans. So as per normal lashing, you can set your volume or pre-made volume fans up however you want them, whether it's on a tile, whether it's on the back of the hand, whatever suits you. So the great thing about these pre-mades is that they actually come off the strip really easily. A lot of pre-mades do not, and I'm having to hover here to do this, but you can see how you can actually grab them and they come off. You haven't got to readjust, and if you've picked up too many or whatever, you can literally stick it back down. So they are lovely pre-made. You can see that they're nice and pointy. Everything that I was looking for when we were introducing this brand. They are glue bonded because the heat bonded ones that we trialed were pretty much shocking. So these are pre-glued, but they are minimal glue and they attach really nicely to the client. So when it comes to attaching these pre-made volume fans, I like to come from either the top or the bottom of the natural lash. So very much like I'm working with a flat lash. I just find that they attach better that way. Okay, you can attach them off the side, but it can be a little bit tricky, so just trust me on that one. I also recommend a clear adhesive, so either Ice or Tornado. And the good thing is that you don't actually need a volume adhesive for pre-made because technically they are like a classic lash, we're not wrapping them. So a clear looks a lot better. If you use a black, you can sometimes get a little bit of a build-up. It's not going to cause damage to the lash if you're still using minimal, but you can actually see it. So if you want a very, very seamless look on your client, take my advice for this and go with using a clear adhesive on your client. And it really is almost like a combination of classic and volume lashing. Just make sure that you're still really working on your uniformity of your lashes. And I am making sure that I am lashing to suit the natural lash. So I'm not overloading. I won't be using 4D on immature natural lashes, and I will not be using it on the inner and outer corners. I still do recommend that you work with a good pair of volume tweezers for this, because actually you need quite a precise pair of tweezers in order to be able to pick these fans up, because they are very fine. They're not thick like a classic lash. So if you have got a pair of volume tweezers, like you can see here that I'm working with my Dumonts, I recommend using those. Just makes your job a lot easier, because they are actually designed to pick fans up with. I'm going to try and come underneath this one, because this natural lash sits quite high on the lash line, just coming up, pressing. And the great thing is that you can let go of these pretty quickly, like you can a classic lash. So you can see how actually, well, I'm filming, so I'm slowing this down a little bit, but actually I did a set yesterday with them and I was done in an hour. Like, amazing. So I can see why, if you've got a client that can't lay still for that amount of time, they can have their place in the industry. So that one didn't attach. Because I'd used minimal adhesive, I'm more than happy to go back into my adhesive and dip again, because I'm not overloading. Let me do a few inners. I'm going to drop down to my 3D 7mm. 3D and 7mm is so lightweight. I always love my inners to be really short. I'm probably even going to put a 60 on the inner. So actually we have got 6mm 3D lashes, just to keep everything really, really nice and lightweight. Let's put one on the outer corner. Let's put a little 8 over here in my zone. So coming on top of the natural lash, nice and close to the lash line, just let it take. And they take really nicely. I've worked with some pre-mades in the past and they really didn't bond nicely to the natural lash. Like, they would literally fall off, whereas these bond so nicely. Really, really nice. Just trying to find a healthy lash in there that can support. So we're still lashing safely. I'm not just dumping 4D on everything. Like, I've got some baby lashes there, they can't support that, so I'm going to leave them alone till later on. And like I've said in my text that I've attached to the website, the problem that we have is when people don't know how to use these and they're just sticking 6D fans on every client, because they haven't taken volume courses or they haven't learned how to calculate how much a client can safely support. So if they are used correctly, they can be safe. But our clients must know what we're putting on them, and we cannot charge full price. Although they can be just as beautiful, you're cheating your client by charging her full price. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and I'm going to work both eyes, because that's how I like to work. I'll keep the camera on so you can start seeing how we're building the set, and then I'll show you what we've got right at the end at the finished product. So here we have our finished set of pre-mades. I think, as you can see, they actually look really natural because we haven't overloaded them. You know, we've still gone really lightweight, like 3 and 4D only. And on some of Sophie's very tiny little lashes, I've literally put like 6mm in 3D just to make sure that we're covering it, but we're not overloading it. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial or video on pre-made fans. They are available in the shop. Also, make sure that you read the descriptions to why I decided to sell them and how, although it's not something that I will be using because I enjoy making handmade fans and I've invested a lot of time and a lot of money into doing it, but you know, we have to realise that there is a place in the industry for pre-mades if they're used correctly, and hopefully by reading the description people can understand them fully while we're selling them. But thanks for watching.